So site analysis. Well, what is your site? You could list a parcel number. Where's it located? What's its latitude and longitude? That helps me to find my sun angle. So remember my latitude and longitude. I find it on Google Earth. I go to suncalc.net and boom, I put it in. It overlays the sun angle for me like magic. So you might want to write that one down, guys, because you're going to have to do that on your plans, right? So gas, like utilities, what's available? Do I have access to gas, water, electricity? Even if I don't want to use it, as a consultant, I should still find out, do my research, and list it. I do not have to use it, but I should still list it. Easements. I need to do my due diligence, guys. I need to, when I purchase my property, I need to talk about the legal restrictions associated with the property. Don't buy something and you don't know what you can do with it and then later complain. Well, I didn't know. Or, I don't like that. No, buy what you like. Don't buy something without knowing. So what's the legal limitations as per your title and your deed? So that piece of paper says what you can do. Did you read it? Existing buildings, the size and the location, list those down. These are things that we're going to capture, guys, on our base maps. Then we can design new things. This is existing things. So existing vegetation that you observe on that site. Record the trees, the shrubs, the herbs, and the grasses. They're all going to give us indicators of what will grow well on the site. Soil and water indicators. Can you see erosion? Do you see standing water events, right? Is there a pond already? Think about neighbors also when you're driving around. If the neighbor's got a pond, you probably can have one too. But if nobody around there has a pond, well, maybe that's an indication that that's not a very bright thing to do. Yeah? What about potential uses for things on your property? Can you see any edible things? Like, hey, look at that. I could eat that. Or fuel. I could cut that down and I could use it for firewood. Or compostable. I start my farm, I need compost. That was one of the hardest things that we had, guys. When we started Raktamachat, we don't even have grass. We have nothing. No trees, no grass, no leaves, nothing. And we have to try to grow food. It's difficult. And the only blessing we have is that the village has all those cows. So I could go and get manure. And I'm basically growing my food in straight manure. And I'm weeding every day, an unbelievable amount of weeds, till finally I can make what weeds can be composted. So I can start making compost and I can start breaking the seed cycle. And then we get more biomass. And the more biomass we get, the more we can grow. And then all of a sudden, I get out of that. Now I have all this biomass to make more compost. It's real easy, right? It's different mineral. They eat different foods. So you will have a different mineral profile. You can look that up reasonably to compare. Pig manure wouldn't have seeds. So pig manure would be more accessible to put straight into your garden in not a tremendous amount, but at a feathered in. Goat manure also doesn't have seeds. So goat manure could be put straight into your garden. Also, goat manure would be more valuable, let's say, than pig or cow manure because of density and what they eat. So goats eat more trees. Trees have more minerals. So then they would have a more diverse selection of food. So the food, the waste that comes out of you is mineral profile is equal to what goes in, right? So cows eating first level grasses, that's not not the mineral profile. So cow manure would probably have more minerals. Pig manure would have more minerals than cow, and goat manure would have more minerals than pig. So we can value the manure that we pay for based on the minerals in it, okay? Not just the volume. So, insecticide plants. Are there any plants that are indications of different types of insects, both beneficial insects and or non-beneficial? Or any other things that you list, you see. Whatever you see, you need to write it down so you can remember and research what does it mean. If you see something, you need to know what it means. Climate information. So I get to climate. I need to know the evaporation and the transpiration on my site. What does that mean? The rainfall, how much rain falls yearly, and the monthly averages. These are all easily researchable. Everything's on the internet for you. You just have to do the research, guys. What's my location? And I put in yearly rainfall. What's my location? I type into Google monthly averages. You'll come up with a chart, right? They'll have nice websites. Humidity. What's the humidity? The yearly humidity, the monthly averages. What's the wind? The prevailing wind direction, monthly averages, and a great search term for that is called wind rose. Wind rose is a graphic of your wind directions, okay? So write wind rose, your location. What's the temperature chart? These are all charts that you're going to be able to add into your document. Monthly maximums and minimum and averages, right? So what's the max, the min, and the average temperature on your site? That's going to help you plan your crops so that you can put them in at the right times. Frost. What's the average and the extreme first and last dates of your frost events? And remember, with climate change, these things are getting a little bit skewy. So you might want to have contingency on all these numbers. Design a little bit bigger than the max and min historically. Spring bloom sequences. When is the spring and furls? When does that happen? So if I'm near a forest, I could go to like pick wild herbs, right? Or if I want to have wild herbs in my food forest, then I would know when that sequence was going to happen. What about the leaf fall sequence for in a temperate climate? Because that could correspond to my making biochar and or compost, right? When does that event happen? This all comes into creating your farm calendar, garden calendar, guys. So I have a calendar monthly of the activities that I'm going to do based on the differences of my analysis. What about the isolation or the number of sunny and cloudy days? If I was in England, that would be pretty prevalent. You got a lot of cloudy days, right? And in Thailand, man, we got a lot of sunny days. The opposite. So ours, we have to try to shade our plants because they'll get burnt. Our plants actually get sunburnt. And yours, not. So this is an opposite, but from climates. Heating and cooling degree days. How is the maximum temperature and the lower temperature for solar application? So if you want to have solar power, then you need to know how many days you need air conditioning. Or how many days do I need to have heating so that I can put in the right solar array to power my home? I would have to know those type of information. That would be based on, for instance, the temperature chart, right? Microclimate information, sunshine and shade patterns. So if I look at an existing site and I see these really nice big trees, I also have to appreciate those big nice trees make shade. Where's the shade pattern? Where do they shade? Don't put a garden in the shade. A discernible microclimates, any microclimate you may see. Maybe we see a barn, and on the south side of the barn, I notice, man, that's a big nice wall. I could really make a really nice tomato bed there because I'm in the north, right? So this would be something that I might want to look at. Physical characteristics of the elevation and your slope. Well, what does that mean? If I have too much slope and I have frost, I'll have air drainage down and I could have frost pockets. So my garden could get frosted out because I put my garden in a frost pocket. We'll see pictures of that later. So that's called air drainage. Water table disturbances. Different places on my property may have different water tables. And or pollution sources or impacts. Around me, is there any type of impact or pollution that I would be worried about? Yeah, that would be something you want to list. And if there's any way to mitigate that. So your soil survey should give you information. Local universities and or agencies will do this for you. It's very inexpensive. You would want to know the percent of clay, sand, silt content. You might want to know the structure. They will tell you this on the survey, guys. And when we do soil science class, we'll get into this in all more detail. The organic matter content would be important. Remember I said if I bought land that had a high organic matter content, that's like free compost, right? So I bought this, it has a low organic matter content, I have to make it. The pH is important. It might be too high or too low and I might have to mitigate that. And the nutrients that are in the soil is a good indication of the ability to grow crops. So do they have good nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, or other trace minerals? And if they're not there, the soil test will tell me how much I need to put back, right? So how much work will I have to do on my soils? So, and you can value the property also with the health or nutritional value of your soils. So ecology. Well, people impacts. People are ecology, they're animals. Also animals are easy, plants. What about foot traffic? Do people walk by your house? What about views from the neighbors, sounds or access, right? How are people, where's the sidewalk for your home? Yeah? Can you see the sidewalk from your front of your house? Is there a clear view? Things like this. What about animals? Gophers, deers, moles, skunks, raccoons. And if I live in Australia, they got all these birds and bats that come and eat my food. And so if I want to have a fruit farm, I have to pay for nets. And that could be really expensive. So can I afford to do that? You know? Insects can be really bad in certain locations. Here it's really difficult for us to grow like leafy vegetable things because tropical insects are so bad. They just ravage them. So I pretty much have to grow them in a cloche because we're not using pesticides. Or diseases, what type of, like, maybe this particular location has some type of blight, like the banana blight. So I can't grow bananas because they're banana blight, something like that. And personal considerations. What are your aesthetics? What are your favorite colors? What's your favorite scent? Maybe you like jasmine. Right next to your front door, you can plant jasmine plants. And then you have, every day, you have this nice fragrance. What about if you have allergies? Oh, I want to do farming, I want to do permaculture, but I have pollen problems, right? Fear of insects, because, you know, farming is a lot of bugs. Maintenance time. How much time do you want to spend maintaining your property? Really needs to be put into how well you build your systems so that you don't have to do maintenance. Really think about that. So walk before you run, build small, well-built systems so you don't have to spend so much time maintaining them. And what is your budget in your plan for installation and maintenance? People making budgets and have no money budgeted, right, for maintaining anything. The diet and your taste favorites. Guys, you need to write down the list, and you need to grow what you eat, and you need to eat what you grow. So if you don't like it, don't really grow it, okay? And if what you like and you want to eat, write that list down and then see if you can grow it. And you may want to actually think about, if you can't grow the things you like to eat, you may want to really consider that. Consider the sustainability of a diet, eating things that you're not capable to grow yourself. Things that are imported from halfway around the world. Things that are only able to be provided to you because you have money provided by poor people in third world countries working like slaves. Yeah, I really like my quinoa. Give me some chickpeas. Yeah? Where do they come from? You think they grow those things in any of the countries eating them? What about if we eat that quinoa from the person and now the price has gone up to where they can barely eat, they have no food because we have higher value of prices, right? And we eat their food. Why can't we eat the food that we grow locally? What can we grow locally? And what's a substitute? Because all the time, if you look, guys, you can find a substitute that's equal for everything. So this is a type of spinach here, but I can grow this type of spinach here. Still spinach, right? We can adapt. They eat rice, but I can grow millet, right? This is type of things that we can look for those. So write down your list. That's the fun part of permaculture. Getting to the point of deciding what's going to go in my garden. So first step, I want a garden. Second step, where am I going to put my garden? Kind of the funner part is, what's going to go in my garden? So I have to ask myself, what do I like to eat? Grow what you eat what you grow. And privacy from sounds and or sights. Maybe I don't want to see my neighbors, right? Or I don't want my neighbors to see me because I like to walk outside and use the bathroom outside my balcony because, hey, that's what it's all about, right? And diseases. This can be plant diseases, but also think about things like malaria, things like this. You know, you might say, oh, it's really good, I can go live in this place, but they might have yellow fever, they might have malaria, and you're not adapted to that, right? Because you didn't grow up there. You didn't get bit by that. Or they have dengue or all these things, right? So think about that, about the location, if there's any prevalent diseases that might not be healthy for you to live in. Or also think about a future family. Would you want to raise your kid in the area that has that type of disease?